All right, guys, we got another coding challenge here on Code Wars. We are going to sort the binary tree by levels. So we are given a binary tree. Our task is to return the list with elements from trees sorted by levels, which means the root element goes first, then root children from left to right are second and third, and so on. Return the empty list if the root is null. So in the first example, we have this tree, and we want to make sure we return this list. So 2, 8, 9, 1, 3, 4, 5. And then we have another one here. We have 1, 8, 4, 3, 5, 7. So you can kind of see the pattern here based on these examples. So since we are given this, we don't have to create that class, which is nice, and it calls it in right here. So let's jump right into it. So what we need to do, if you didn't think about it right away, is we need to do level ordered traversal. So we need to do level order traversal on a binary tree. If you don't really understand what that is, I'll provide a link down below with a little bit of documentation on how to kind of wrap your head around that and get a little bit more understanding. So first, let's we can get rid of the code that they give us, and let's do some pseudocode. I always like to do pseudocode before we jump into a challenge. So we need to check. Let's check if the node is null. And then we are going to, let's keep track of the node with a queue, I think. And then let's start with the root node. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to process each node in the queue. And then from there, we can kind of do different things with, after we start, is we dequeue, we add its value to the result, and enqueue. Cool. So let's kind of start. We're going to do if node. So we call in node here as a parameter, right? So we can utilize this. If node is null, we're going to return a new list. Okay. So if the node is null, we want to create a new list and go from there. So if it's not null, we're going to continue here. We are going to create a queue of node, call it queue, and we're going to set that equal to a new queue of type node. So now we have a new queue. Now what do we want to do with that queue? Well, we have a list, right? We're going to call this the result. So we need to keep track of the node with a queue, and then we create a new list if the node is null. So we need to create a new list right here to keep track of the result, and that's just going to be a new list of integers. Cool. So now we have a new list, and then we have queue, and we're going to enqueue the first node. So what do we do from here? Well, we need to dequeue, add its value to the result, and then enqueue. So we don't know, we also don't know how many numbers are going to come in. It could be 50 numbers, 4 numbers, as many as we want. So my brain immediately goes to a loop, and I hope yours does too. But if not, we can do a while loop. So while, we're going to say queue.count is greater than 0. So while there is a count in the queue, we're going to continue looping. So what do we do from here? We have node current. So it's our current node is, we're going to say queue.dequeue. So we're going to dequeue and add its value to the result, right? Result.add. We're going to say current.value. So now we have added the current value of the dequeued node to our result. Then we're going to say if. We're going to say if current.left does not equal null. We're going to enqueue the next one. And then we're going to say if current dot, you guessed it, right does not equal null. We are going to enqueue the right. And then from there, so this while loop is going to continue going until all of this stuff is done. Queued, enqueued, dequeued, add the result, blah, 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 blah. It's going to keep going until we return out the result when there's nothing left. So take a moment and look at this. I will clean this up so you have a moment to see it in all of its glory. Spread all this out so it's a little easier to read. Okay, so here is our whole method. So let's go through it one more time. If node is null, we're going to return a new list. Done. And then we are going to instantiate a queue. Instantiate a list that is called results, and we are going to enqueue the first node to our queue. While that count is greater than 0, so while there is still numbers in a tree right here, we are going to instantiate the current as dequeue. So queue.dequeue. and then we're going to add to the result the current value. As long as left is not null, we're going to enqueue the left. As long as right is not null, we are going to enqueue the right. And then we come back to the top of the loop. After these two if statements, we come back to the top of the loop and we dequeue whatever is current. And then once all that's done, we return the result there at the very end. Here are the test cases that it's going to utilize. Let's give it a test. Error code 1, type or namespace system could not be found. I spelled system wrong. Great.
I know some of these words.
Test again. Cannot convert method group dequeue to non-delegate type node.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. But I have a very particular lack of skills. I will never be able to find you. But what I do have is $2 and a Casio wristwatch.
But I found the issue, so... all right, let's run this test. Cool, passed all the tests. So we already went through it a couple of more times, but one last time, if node is null, we're going to create a new list. We're going to a new queue of type node. We have a new list of results. We are going to enqueue our node, and while that count is greater than 0, we are going to dequeue the current node. We are going to add the current value to our list. We are going, as long as left and right of current is not null, we are going to enqueue that. Great. And then once we are done looping through over and over, we are going to return the result. And we can click attempt, which usually does 1 or 2 more tests, and we are good to go. So let's submit that bad boy. So I hope this was a little helpful, and I can't wait for you to join me on the next one. Thanks, guys.